I thought I would talk about this. Hi, again. I thought I would share. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm a mom. My name is Ina Irby. I know that there's a lot of anger out there for Jehovah's Witnesses. And I know that a lot of people will say, oh, well, they're not their friends. I come from a different viewpoint. I come from the viewpoint of a slave. When I read Mr. Douglas's book, I saw my brethren. I felt an instant connection that way. I felt that Jehovah's Witnesses are not unlike slaves. And they put themselves there on their own. And unbeknownst to me, I did that because I thought that I was doing the right thing. I wanted to save people. I wanted to help people. And unfortunately, it could have and was going to. I was in the process of destroying my family, little by little. I could see it. My husband's health was very affected. My health was affected. I don't even realize that. I don't think I even realized that my health was being affected. So I'm going to read this to you. It's on page 95. And my dad always used to say, sometimes you're going to have to stand alone. And it's uncomfortable when you stand alone sometimes. But sometimes you just have to stand alone in order to get out of a certain situation. And that feels vulnerable. You feel vulnerable. I'm going to read this. He is whipped oftenest who is whipped easiest. And that slave who has the courage to stand up for himself against the overseer, although he may have many hard stripes at the first, becomes in the end a free man, even though he sustain the formal relation of a slave. You can shoot me, but you can't whip me, said a slave to Rigby Hopkins. And the result was that he was neither whipped, not shot. If the latter had been his fate, it would have been less deplorable than the living and lingering death to which cowardly and slavish souls are subjected. I do not know that Mr. Sevier ever undertook to whip Nellie again. He probably never did, for it was not long after his attempt to subdue her that he was taken sick and died. The wretched man died as he had lived, unrepentant, and it was said, with how much truth I know not, that in the very last hours of his life, his ruling passion showed itself, and that when wrestling with death, he was uttering horrid oaths and flourishing the cowskin as though he was tearing the flesh off some helpless slave. One thing is certain, that when he was in health, he was enough to chill the blood and to stiffen the hair of an ordinary man to hear Mr. Sevier talk. Nature, or his cruel habits, had given to his face an expression of unusual savageness, even for a slave driver. Elders you can see their demeanor. I have never had a shepherding call where I felt like I wasn't naked and exposed. I never felt like these men connected. They had knowledge and a lot of scriptural knowledge, but to connect to a human being, I don't understand what the shepherding calls were for exactly. When it explains this man and how he had a cruel nature, and because of that, his face and expression his unusual savageness. You could see it on their face. Now, I'm not saying all elders are like that, but there are elders that are cruel, and they seem to be the most dominant one in the group. And it makes it hard for the other elders in the congregations to be kind to the sheep. On my judicial committee, I had happened to have a run-in with an elder who got into my family business. And mind you, I still had the very sheepish. I was very sheepish. I wasn't someone who I wasn't an argumentative person. I like peace. I don't want to cause problems. That's not my nature. But I was irritated with this particular elder because he had gotten involved in family business, in my family's business, and didn't clarify. He did not understand why I was doing what I was doing, and he didn't care. And I saw that. I was very frustrated. I was very frustrated with that elder because he had experience with other elders in his life, with his family, that didn't care to know the truth about a certain situation. So he had experienced what I was experiencing with him. So it's very frustrating as a sheep because you're stuck with elders that are not going to be compassionate towards your experiences. You will get some that will be, and you will get others that aren't. And it seems like the dominant one that has no compassion is the one that rules the rest. And so then you don't get what you need as a sheep. You just don't. You need compassion if you have emotional issues, if you have brain issues, depression. If you have depression, this isn't something you can explain to an individual. In fact, I had a Bible discussion, and it was hard for a certain brother who was experiencing emotional issues to have compassion by his elder body for these emotional issues. So, and you can see it on their faces years later. I was an observer in my congregations. I always observed, and when we went to circuit assemblies, I got to see older elders that had dealt with my family years ago, over in the 20-year period, and their faces started to show that harshness. And I'm not saying all elders are that way, but the ones that seem to dominate the body seem to be the ones that are put in the dominant position in the congregation, and so the sheep are not taken care of. I will always feel sorry for those sheep. I can't not feel pity. I don't feel angry. I'm free. They are not. I feel a deep sense of sadness for those people because they're stuck in a pen of fear. I was stuck in a pen of fear. I'm going to read this part too. Brothers and sisters, we were by blood, but slavery had made us strangers. I heard the words brother and sister and knew they must mean something, but slavery had robbed these terms of true meaning. Those were our brothers and sisters when they were left behind. They were our brothers and sisters. I loved them. They were my family. Most of them became my surrogate aunts and uncles and mothers, because I was, like I've told you before, I was very estranged by my mother. My mother was damaged, so it was hard for her to connect to her family members, any of her family members, including her own mother. So I needed these people in my life, and they became that to me. Surrogate mothers, surrogate aunties, surrogate uncles. But it's slavery that makes us strangers now. if they don't listen, if they don't hear why I did what I did. And that's only if they happen to know that I've done videos, because I have no connection to anyone anymore. And do I let people know what I'm doing? I have. Fortunately, I have. I've talked to some of... I've gone back and said I was sorry to certain people. Unfortunately, some of those people are out. And that has made it a relief for me, because I knew I had an influence in their life. To go back and to an old friendship, or someone I had influenced, one, it's scary as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, because you already kind of feel that you're going to get shut down. But I encourage you to do it. I do appreciate this book. It said, friends who want to be a part of my life surround me. New friends offer gifts they are able to provide. Established friends are ready to offer a listening ear and wise counsel based on what they know. Today I will open myself to trust, and I will seek out one new friend and one old friend and allow myself to accept an offer they have given. Building an important network of friends. So I went back to an old friend and I explained that I was sorry for what I had encouraged that person to do. It was tough because I didn't really know what the outcome was going to be. I also feel the fear when I go and explain to total strangers that it was my first Christmas, or open myself up to individuals that I've never met, explaining what I'm going through, that I've taken a different path. And these individuals have offered, even if it is just an instant of time where you can share a human experience. I encourage that, because it's a portion of a healing that you'll get from another human being when you're in pain. And believe it or not, there are people out there, even if it's just an instant, it can help you get through a lot of pain. And I encourage you to jump and not be afraid. I'm scared, yeah, because we've been told that outside world is scary and you can't trust people. And that's true to an extent, but there's a lot of people that see suffering in your eyes, in your body. And I've had checkers at the grocery store. I've had a homeless person. That was the most touching. When you express something to someone and you know they're going through a lot, and they can offer the most kind words. It's not necessarily a scripture. You can share something with that person and still have a vulnerability, but not feel naked afterwards. That you don't feel raw. And that's what I experienced when I was with the elders. When you share a human experience with these men, there's no connection there. I'm sorry, I have never had a shepherding call where I felt like, oh, wow, that was awesome. Nope. Because they had to share too, and that wasn't allowed. They cannot share. They cannot tell you they're scared. When you hear somebody say, yeah, I'm scared. I had a friendship with an elder who was no longer an elder. And he had expressed that he would never be an elder again because he lost his first wife that way. His marriage fell apart. And he would never do it again. Now, this man knew scriptures. He had generational Jehovah's Witnesses. And I hadn't talked to him. That was years ago. It was probably in the last 10 years. He had expressed that 10 years ago. I don't even know if he knows that I'm out. We're a very small community of people, so I don't really know how that works out and who's told what or whatever. But that was the first connection. He wasn't considered an elder, but that was a shared human experience that he was willing to share with me. And he was never going to be an elder again because he lost his first wife that way. And he had a good wife now, and he wanted to keep it that way. That was vulnerability there. That was something that I remember now. And I appreciate that he was willing to share that. I don't see how you can be an elder or a circuit overseer and see the sheep in pain and not have a reaction, not want to help in some way and get out of a certain situation in order to help them. And I remember telling my elders that had my judicial committee, well, we'll have to call the branch. That's what that is the common phrase that is used. Well, we'll call the branch. You have to call the branch. Okay, but they don't know your sheep. You know me. You know me. You know that I wasn't here to create chaos. I'm not here for a following. I'm not here. This is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. I don't very rarely. It's hard for me even to open up because it's like opening up something and okay, I'm going to show everybody this. Okay, here I go. But if I don't do that, then people suffer. And that was the point of why I became one of Jehovah's Witnesses, is because I wanted to help people. And that goal is still there. I want to help people, even if it makes me feel like a sweaty little piggy and you have to go out and talk and be uncomfortable. I'm willing to do it. If it means saving one life, one person from committing suicide, I'm there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to feel that fear of, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared too. But I'd rather feel that and let people know that I'm just as scared as you are, but I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let people suffer. I'm not going to do that. So I come from a different maybe frame of mind, that those people are suffering. They're suffering slaves. And I'm not angry with them. And I see them as friends. But if they want to stay there in that relationship, if they want that, I'm impatient. Mr. Douglas said that. I'm impatient and I have no, I'm not going to put myself in that. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. I'm not going to say it's okay to be in that situation. I'm going to say freedom. Freedom rocks. And it feels good. And you can have that personal relationship with our King and with our Heavenly Father. And anybody can. You don't need a middleman. You don't need middlemen telling you your family's gonna die. No, it doesn't feel good. Fear doesn't motivate people. There's fear because you're scared of doing something new. You can feel it and go with it, and you'll see that it works. There's fear when somebody else tells you that it's not, you can't do it. You'll fail. No, don't listen to that. You can do it. You can get out of your situation. You don't have to make a big stink about it. You can quietly get out. And that's what I did. I didn't make a big to do. I saw that the sheep were delicate, and those men have the sheep's blood on their heads, that they're responsible for it. And if you even go higher up, those 8 men are responsible for it. They know. The lawyers know. They're doing y'all wrong. All of us. A society. Because what they're preaching is not scriptural. I hope this helps you. It helps me. Helps me process the past. So, follow your bliss. Be good humans.